Indeed, you are first, David. As a matter of fact, you posted before I even went live, and I didn't even know that was possible. So, hello, and congratulations for being first. Yes, Aaron, you're almost first. So let's give everybody a second to get in here today. Man, JC is just like creeping right now. The pillow behind me. JC was just creeping behind me, and it was kind of weird. Yeah, excuses, Aaron. Don't blame the baby. I think I was actually about a minute early getting in here, so it might take people a second to check in. Oh, I'm excited to hear how everyone else is doing. I feel like I'm losing it. But, I mean, that's nothing new, right? There's my lighter. To light this chai latte candle. Get some aromatherapy going while I'm in here. Hello, Entity. Hello, Scott. Ooh, just fix a water heater. Wasn't that what was just going on in Breaking Bad? Bryson from Mother's Day had gifted me watching Breaking Bad with me, and we are just finishing up season 2. No spoilers. I've seen it, but he hasn't. I think he might be watching, so no spoilers. But I think that it was the episode where Walt was fixing his water heater, so that's kind of funny. Hi, Richard. I'm sorry to hear that you're struggling. Hopefully this can lift all of our energy and spirits a little bit. T and Glenn, T Montgomery. Okay, everybody's checking in. So, for those of you that are new, this is just our little bi-weekly check-in with our mental health where we share our wins and our struggles, and we just hold space for each other to talk about those things. We share some good news, and we just discuss some things that are going on. So with that being said, anything that I say is just based on my experience, even though I do have a bachelor's degree in forensic psychology. It's just based on my experience or the experiences of others that I've interacted with. So if you are in crisis, please make sure that you are getting the help that you deserve. So we're here to hold space for you, to build you up, to connect you with resources. But if you are in a mental health crisis, please make sure that you are connecting with a mental health professional. So each stream, we have a goal of $250 to reach, and some of the streams go to the community, and some of the streams go to me and my endeavors, and honestly, my survival. The last one went to the community, and this one will go toward me and my endeavors and survival. So I just want to be transparent about that so nobody ever has to question. So we do have the goal of reaching 250. We did not meet it last week, but I still was able to start connecting some people and getting them into therapy, which is huge. That's one of the main things that the community does with the pledges and donations, be it through the pledges here or through Patreon. So Patreon dipped really kind of embarrassingly low in the past few months. And it's been tragic because in the last, I would say 2 months, I've really gotten bombarded hard with people that are needing support, that are needing help. And unfortunately, I've had to split the funds and stuff, like I said, so it's half and half. Patreon goes completely to the outreach with therapy and other mental health outreach to the community. And I am just getting so many emails, especially when the SNAP situation happened. I have never gotten so many emails in a 48-hour period of people just saying, I need help and support. And some of it was financial and some of it was just emotional. But I'm really trying to stabilize that again so we can help as many people as possible in the community. With that being said, as I said, we were able to get a couple of new people into therapy. I'm just having to be very, very selective. And I don't like doing that. I don't like gatekeeping help because I know what that feels like. And I don't want anyone to feel rejected. And I know I can't help everyone. We can't help everyone here. But I do want to help as many people as possible. And therapy has been the big thing that people are seeming to need. So getting them connected with a therapist local to them or online therapy, if that's more convenient for them, is immensely helpful. And we do get a lot of emails from people or comments here in the community where they're talking about how much that means to them. And I shared some of those on stream. But if you are in a place to do so, Patreon still completely goes toward that outreach so we can help people with their mental health, be it through therapy or other endeavors. Today on stream, it will be going to me because things have been going a little better. Like there have been some wins for sure, and I'll share that when we get to the Snap Cup, but it's still not ideal, still not where I want it to be. So I'm really just trying to kind of stabilize things and get things in order. So where is everybody else at? Where is everybody else at with all this? Scott Clark says, I don't know, had to fix the wife's car Friday night, fix the leaks that killed the water heater yesterday, then replace the water heater today. Busy weekend. That sounds exhausting. I'm exhausted just reading that. Boney checks there. Aaron says, only cool names don't have numbers. T. Montgomery just spelled NSYNC incorrectly. I'm going to need you to do some research and then come back to me so I don't just like have an aneurysm right now from that. Entity says, I've met fellow ex-JW or Jehovah's Witness content creators on TT. I'm not sure what TT is. And I'm finding ex-JW songs. I was not aware that there were ex-JW songs, but I'm glad that you are finding that support. I know when you are deconstructing, it is very difficult to find that community sometimes because it's not as easy to connect with people who might not be believers because they don't have that same construct of community as believers do. Thank you, David, for starting the train, getting us on track for that 250. I know I might be rambling a little bit. I'm sorry. I'm also sorry that during the last stream on my monitor, it looked like I had good lighting, but then I went back and I said, whoa, you can't even really see my face, and everybody thought I dyed my hair brown, and I did not. I mean, it is a little bit darker. I have something in my hair. It is a little bit darker, but for the most part, nope, I did not dye it brown, but everyone thought I did because it just looked so unbelievably dark in that lighting. But nope, that was just a trick of shadows. Whew. Scott says, my dad was JW until he forcefully deconverted. Forcefully. Stood at the altar and told the elders they were frauds and men in colorful language. I would pay a lot of money to be a fly on the wall for that one because, as you guys may or may not know, I am TikTok. That's what TT meant. I am an atheist. Aaron and I started an atheist channel called Abstract Atheists, just now getting off the ground, but I would pay a lot of money to see that. I have in my head many, many times had some colorful words for leaders and elders that I've just kept inside. And I told myself, Amanda, those are inside thoughts, but sometimes they shouldn't be. Sometimes they should very much be outside thoughts. Are y'all trying to find weird ways to spell NSYNC? I think, is it on the pillow? I think it's on the pillow. Yes, it is on the pillow. And my mom would very much get on to you if you used an apostrophe and not the asterisk. So asterisk NSYNC. Don't get me started on NSYNC history here, though. That will take up the whole stream. David says, trick of shadows. Is my shadow and your shadow teaming up? Imagine that. That would be a story, wouldn't it? And she says, I cried when I heard some of the ex-JW songs, and it was so incredibly healing. I think just understanding that there are other people who kind of came to the same conclusion that you did, because people that are still in the religion can tend to make you feel like you're crazy and that you must have reached this conclusion because you've been in some way, Satan is somehow pressuring you or confusing you or deluding you, when there's a lot of other people using logic who have come to the same conclusion you are. And it can be very enlightening and very validating to either read about that or hear that. David says, I proofread that NSYNC a dozen times before ordering the bill. Getting it wrong would have caused me to flee the country. You're not wrong. Scott says, can't endorse my father's method. He physically threatened them if they made contact with him. Dude has 24-inch biceps. They believed him. Okay, yeah, I don't endorse physical intimidation or threats, but that's like Hulk Hogan status, 24-inch pythons over here, man. But I do feel like sometimes while I don't endorse physical threats or anything like that, sometimes maybe intimidating a little bit. I wouldn't say in a threatening way, but intimidating a little bit so they understand, man, don't come knocking at my door 6 months from now. Aaron, do you want to share your experience that we still have them like 10 houses later coming to look for you, I think that would be relevant to put in here. And she says, I was one of the only kids in my congregation, and I live in the Bible Belt. Ugh, so it's isolated mentally, even outside of the witnesses. Ugh. Yeah, I grew up in the Bible Belt, so totally understand. Woman loves saw but doesn't endorse threats. Well, let me rewind a little bit. So if I felt that they truly deserved it, like I don't agree with religion, but I do agree with everyone's right to practice religion so long as they are doing so privately and not encroaching on other people's right to not practice religion, I fully support that. But when it comes to people, doing things that would put others in danger, where removing them as a threat would be the beneficial thing to do, then I would believe in putting your foot down. Okay, so Aaron's saying, I lived in 10 houses since I last went to church, and the missionaries still somehow come to my door asking for me by name. How do they know where I live? That is so creepy. It's just so creepy. That's a really good question. How do they know? Ugh. That gives me Saw vibes. That gives me some kind of really weird stalker vibes, and I don't like it. I'm not aggressive, like I'm not threatening when they come around, but I also feel like it's important to be firm. I'd let them in a few times because I kind of like debating and I like having that conversation, and I try and be respectful and just stick to facts. But the last time I let them in, the missionaries couldn't debate me. They couldn't come up with anything to refute what I was saying. So they ended up calling in the bishop or whatever, the mission leader, whatever. And he ended up coming over, and he was telling he realized in about 15 minutes that he wasn't going to get anywhere with me. So he just started kind of asking me about my life and stuff, and moving away from the religious conversation, and found out that I'm a big Breaking Bad fan. And come to find out, he had picture evidence of this. Come to find out, he had tracted or witnessed, or whatever you want to call it, to Gail from Breaking Bad. So how random is that? So we ended up talking about that until they finally left, and then never tried again because didn't have anything of value to bring to the debate and conversation. So, okay, I don't want to get too far sidetracked. For those of you that haven't checked out our channel, then make sure to do that. Abstract Atheists, we are posting over there as well. So if you just can't get enough of me, that's a way to get a little bit more of me. But I want to share the good news story because there's so much to say about this. And I think it's going to make a lot of people happy because I think it's a huge step in the right direction. And I kind of can't understand why so many other countries are doing the right thing and we're still so far behind when it comes to a lot of these things. So I'm going to read this good news story. Feel free to comment and let me know what you're thinking or make pledges or whatever here while I'm doing this. So Australia is banning social media for kids under 16. I was just blown away. Why has it taken us this long? From December 10th, social media companies will have to take reasonable steps to ensure that under 16s in Australia cannot set up accounts on their platforms and that existing accounts are deactivated or removed. The government says the ban, a world-first policy popular with many parents, is aimed at reducing the pressures and risks children can be exposed to on social media, which come from design features that encourage them to spend more time on screens, while also serving up content that can harm their health and well-being. That's a really nice way to say the entire platform is designed to make them as addictive as humanly possible. A study commissioned by the government earlier this year said 96% of children aged 10 to 15 use social media. Gross. That is dystopian. That is so gross. And that 7 out of 10 of them had been exposed to harmful content and behavior. This behavior ranged from misogynistic material to fight videos and content promoting eating disorders and unaliving. So this is the kind of iceberg to where I think this ties into mental health. But 1 in 7 also reported experiencing grooming type behavior from adults or older children, and more than half said they've been victims of cyberbullying. Disgusting. Like, let that sink in. 1 in 7 reported experiencing grooming type behavior from adults. And we're not putting priority to this? Why is this not a priority? So this is Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Threads, TikTok, X, YouTube, Reddit, and streaming platforms Kick and Twitch. Those are the ones that are going to be affected. It's also under pressure to expand the ban to online gaming, fearing they may be targeted. Gaming platforms such as Roblox and Discord have recently introduced age checks on some features in an apparent bid to ward off inclusion in the ban. The government had said it will continue to review the list of affected platforms and will consider three main criteria while doing so. These comprise whether the platform's sole or significant purpose is to enable online social interaction between two or more users, whether it allows users to interact with some or all other users, and whether it allows users to post material. YouTube Kids, Google Classroom, and WhatsApp are not included as they were not deemed to have met those criteria. Children will also still be available to view most content on platforms like YouTube, which do not require accounts. And how will this be enforced? Children and parents will not be punished for infringing the ban. It is social media companies who are charged with enforcing it, and they face fines up to 49.5 million. This is pounds, I guess. So US 32 million for serious or repeated breaches. The government says these companies must take reasonable steps to keep kids off their platforms and use age assurance technologies without specifying which ones. So I have so much to say about this. I was so thrilled to see this being introduced. And I hope this is something that catches on and catches on fast, because there's so much to say about this. There's so many problems. So I want to touch on some of those things. Let me just see here. Yep. Aaron saying, I approve this social media is garbage. Hello, resident executioner. David says, I had a JW come to my door and invited them to play a game of Magic with me and my roommate. Sounds like something I would do. Scott was about to mention Roblox. That situation's insane to me. I know that there's some kind of Roblox lawsuit going on, but I don't know the details about it. David says, my friend just had her daughter get approached on Roblox. I would freak raising a kid in today's society. It is not easy at all, but I do want to talk about some of the things, some of the reasons that this is beneficial, all right? Because I know a lot of parents just think, well, my kid's smarter than that, or that's not how they're using it, or that's not how it works. My dude, that's exactly how it works. And there's better emotional regulation when teenagers are off of social media, because their brains aren't finished yet. Their prefrontal cortex isn't developed yet. And from ages 12 to 16, those are the peak years of limbic system sensitivity. And what that means is the emotional gas pedal develops faster than the prefrontal cortex brake system is pretty much what that amounts to. And social media pours fuel on that imbalance. So it's creating this enormous imbalance. So there's no real emotional regulation. And let me tell you, emotional regulation is something I desperately wish that I would have been provided more of, more skills to manage when I was a teenager. And these teenagers nowadays are having that stripped of them. So like 96% of them are on social media having this stripped of them. So nobody is there to really help them learn to regulate emotions. In fact, the opposite is true, that they are being taught to not regulate their emotions, and that's really dangerous. There's also lower rates of depression and anxiety. Major studies are showing that more than 3 hours a day of social media use dramatically increases depression risks, especially in early teens. And I want to say, I don't remember the exact number, but I want to say that the last time I looked, it was like 5 or 6 hours a day that they're getting. And 3 hours is the point where it starts really exacerbating depression and anxiety symptoms. So that's a huge problem. And teens under 16 are the ones that are most vulnerable to this algorithm-driven comparison, the FOMO, the validation-seeking cycles, that sort of thing. So there's that. There is the fact that, let's see, they would have a stronger sense of identity. So if they're not on social media, they don't have that algorithmic shaping, which is disgusting that I have to say those words, algorithmic shaping. But your teens are being shaped by the algorithm. If you're allowing them on social media, they are absolutely being shaped by the algorithm. A teen's identity development window is a critical, fragile process. And algorithms really tend to push extreme content to keep attention. They funnel kids into identities based on what gets clicks. Let's see, they reinforce labels. They don't get a chance to really explore who they are before social media is kind of creating this identity and putting them in this box and putting labels on them and stuff. So they never really get a chance to explore who they are. And without these pressures, teens are able to explore their identities offline through real experiences. They're able to build it internally rather than externally. They're able, in general, to build a more stable sense of self, which is huge. Psychology calls this healthy identity formation, and that's a predictor of long-term mental health stability. So if they don't have that healthy identity formation, if they're not able to create a secure identity in their teen years, then it's really going to cause mental health concerns, not only during that time, but as they get older as well. It also messes with their reward system. So it can cause reward system dysregulation, the likes, the notifications, the constant novelty, the engineered dopamine loops, those things, those, especially during the time of like the preteen teen years, those dopamine loops, the dopamine pathways are hypersensitive, and it's tragic when you're taking these hypersensitive, underdeveloped, easily trained, compulsive seeking dopamine cycles, and you're fueling them, like you're screwing up these dopamine cycles, right? Restricting social media platforms prevents that cycle that can cause addictive behavior, not only in social media, but outside of that as well. So I think there's a lot there. It's teaching healthy impulse control. It's reducing the risk of later behavioral issues and addictions. And there's better sleep. We know that teens that are on social media tend to stay up later. They have later bedtimes. There's more awake time. They don't get into REM sleep. There's a lot of problems there, and that causes higher depressive symptoms. And then the only other thing I really want to touch on is the fact that it really affects their body development, or their body image development, not the body development, their body image development. So without social media, they don't, they're able to create a healthy body image of themselves. So under 16-year-olds don't have that cognitive ability to consistently challenge the edited photos, the unnatural beauty standards, the influencer lifestyle, which is something I really want to talk about more. And I feel like I don't really get the opportunity to do that because the videos I do outside the reactions aren't really getting as much traction, but I want to talk about influencer culture and how it's affecting mental health. I've been dabbling into that a little bit because I really do think it affects particularly teens, and that's dangerous. So I know I just went on like a 10-minute rant, but I thought that was excellent news, and it had a lot of points I really wanted to touch on. So thank you for sticking with me here. I feel like we're getting fewer people here, so I hope I haven't scared everyone away. But what do you guys think? Do you think that it's a good idea to restrict it legally like this? I mean, I feel like in an ideal world, parents would be the ones setting those restrictions. But let's be real, a lot of parents aren't, because a lot of parents have the same addictions and problems. And I feel like they're not really doing what's best for their teens. They're doing what's easiest for them. And I understand as a parent, sometimes things can be very difficult. I have a teenager and a 6-month-old. I understand that things can be very difficult and overwhelming, and sometimes it's just easiest to say, here's a tablet. For a lot of people, we're not letting our baby have any screens until she's 2, but I understand the pressure, but at the same time, like, we have to come to a point to understand that the kids deserve better. The teens deserve better. We deserve better. And that's where I stand. Scott says Roblox bans the people that report the predators and doubled down on that policy. So yeah, whoa, that's disturbing. We need to find a way to turn cyber bullies on the cyber PDFs. You're not wrong. Oh gosh. Diamond Dog says, honestly, I just plan on avoiding having kids at all. That's one way of dealing with it. Kids are awesome. Scott says it's the world that sucks. It's so hard nowadays. David's saying, that when he was younger, that the internet just wasn't a thing. And so when I was a teen, the internet didn't exist. I used libraries for homework. Life was good. Life was so much better before the internet, I think. I think that it brought a lot of potential good, but I don't think we used it for good. And so I think that it really has become a force for a lot of negative things. Guys, we're almost halfway through and we've only got $3 of the 250 goals. So we need to kick into gear here. I just realized that I need to pull up my email. So if you do make a bigger pledge, please make sure to do so using PayPal or Venmo, which are in the video description, so that YouTube doesn't try to jip us and more money goes toward the cause. David says, when I was a kid, you could tell who had the newest NES game by the number of bikes in the yard. Yeah, I remember those days. David says they should put a lock on social media, like asking a history question or requiring them to spell a 6-letter word without spell check. Oh, so with that. Scott says, the thing about social media is that it connects you in shallow ways with thousands of people and you neglect your immediate tribe, family, or friends. I think that it was originally meant to make us more connected. Like Facebook was meant so you could connect to your college friends and to colleagues and stuff. But then, it just started becoming really superficial and it started becoming a way to argue and create the us versus them mentality or exacerbate the us versus them mentality. So I think it just all went down. T. Montgomery says it's a sad law. It had to be passed because parents don't parent anymore. Yeah, they really don't. It's sad because parents are involved in the same addictions, but people aren't calling it what it is. If you are at a restaurant and you say, hey, maybe your kid can get off their iPad, maybe you can get off your phone and spend some time with your family, then you're the monster. You're the bad person. So I feel like when you call out the behavior, you wind up being labeled as the monster. It's really sad. I hope it gets passed here, though. Yeah, Resident says before it was the TV raising the kids, now it's the internet. Yep. Jenga! Thanks, David. Oh, there's going to be a lot of Jenga this week. Indeed. Hey, Ash. David says the world has come full circle. Egyptians started writing in pictures and now kids communicate in emojis. Pretty much, yeah. I can't read a text from someone under 30 these days. Oh my gosh. Do I still have the thing I made for Brayston the other day? I had left a note for Brayston. I guess see if I can find it. I think I took a picture of it. Because David, I think I sent it to you, but I don't know. You can't send pictures on here. Oh, yes. So Brayston, I'd ask him to hang up his clothes, and he basically just threw all his clothes on, like his shirts and stuff on little tiny hangers. And the little hangers are for pants because the shirts are just going to fall right off. So I left him on a whiteboard a note that says, homie G-Dog, while your drip be totes slay, the big hangers are for your pants, yo, and the little hangers are for shirts. Gravity, cap, no cap, riz shizzle, the parental. So I was trying. How do you guys think I did? Did I speak the language well enough? Did I speak teen? Did I speak texting well enough there? David says, you traumatized me with the note. I think I got brain cancer writing the note. There's a dog that's getting put to bed now, so that's why all the other dogs are going kind of crazy. So I want to do our wins. We're halfway through, so I want to do our wins. If we start toward the end, kind of hitting a kind of a pledge roller coaster, then obviously I'll stay a little bit longer. But I usually try and keep it around an hour. Yep, Doggo has something to say. I think that Morgan, we have Morgan, Esme, I think was the one just getting picked up, and Trixie. So we have 3 dogs at the house right now. Morgan is ours. And yeah, I think that they are, I think that they're yelling about their feelings on this. But yeah, it is always cringe to speak teen. I feel like every time I find out about new slang, I just lose brain cells. Like my SAT scores drop. So that's how I feel. Okay. Anyway, we are going to do our wins of the community. Oh no, you know what? We didn't get to do our struggles. So I'm going to take a step back. I like to recently, as of the last couple months, kind of share some struggles and give everybody the space to do that, and then transition to the wins so we can move toward a more uplifting note. But if anyone has any struggles that they want to share, that they just want us to hold space for, that they want to talk about, please feel free to share them here in the chat. I mean, I think that there's always the financial stuff going on right now for a lot of people. I know I'm not alone there. I know that I'm going to say my biggest struggle in the last few weeks is just having grace for myself. I've been really hard on myself that I always feel like I'm doing the wrong thing. No matter what I do, I feel like I should be doing something else. So if I'm spending time with the baby, I'm sitting there thinking, but I'm not cleaning. I'm not taking care of this. I'm not, doing my Poshmark listings or whatever. So I can try to make money, pay the bills. So I always feel, no matter what I'm doing, and even if I'm doing the Poshmark listings, it's, well, shouldn't I be making content? Shouldn't I be doing this? Shouldn't I be doing that? So that's been really difficult. I think my biggest mental health challenge of the last couple of weeks is, I hate to say this, there's been some gossip and drama amidst family, and that's been really hurtful. And it's been very difficult to try to figure out how to navigate that in the best way when you know that the other person is not going to respond in a healthy and mature way. So that in of itself can cause some drama. So that has been very challenging. And I had my manuscript with a literary agent that had wanted to read my proposal for it. And I was really, really hopeful. And then that ended up falling through, and they weren't interested in reading the full manuscript. So I was pretty heartbroken about that. And all of this stuff happened in like a 48-hour period. And it was very heavy. It was very challenging. Just a lot of disappointment, a lot of stress. So that was my big struggle of the last couple of weeks. Scott says there's no one in the world harder on me than I am. Oh, absolutely agree. I know that I'm my worst critic. Scott says, I'm so proud of my team since the 6-7 thing is stupid. Oh my Lord. Ugh. I'm not going to lie. I feel like those numbers have just become like triggers to me. Just anxiety triggers. It's Yumlink, or it's Yummy Inc. Says, any advice for a 17-year-old? I'm going through it low key. What specifically are you going through? I'd love to try to help you unpack some of it. Scott says, oh, family drama. My nephew got married. One of the bridesmaids started a fist fight. Was this on Jerry Springer? Is Jerry Springer a dated reference? Is that he died, didn't he? So I don't think that show is still on anymore. But yes, breakfast sandwiches for dinner sounds marvelous. David says, I admit I started using the slang in my text, but then noticed it started creeping into work emails. I had to quit as it was creating bad habits. Entity says, in the words of Jelly Roll, there isn't a monster out there in the world that's scarier than the one that's within. True. Richard Lee says, challenge for me is I'm hallucinating, and wins are in managing it well. I'm glad that you're managing it well. I know that can be really frightening. We were just actually watching an episode of House last night that was about that. And that's a huge fear of mine, that my reality can't be trusted. So I'm glad that you're managing it. I'm glad that you're finding ways to deal with that. Hey, Autistic Warrior. Katie says, hey there, man, I'm doing okay, but you going live is great. Good. I'm glad I can lift some energy. It's Yummy Inc. says, just school drama and rumors, etc. Well, I'm not going to give my age, full-grown adult dealing with rumors and gossip right now, so I can empathize. I was bullied pretty hard in my school years, so I understand how distressing and upsetting that can be. I have to keep telling myself right now, I can't take seriously the words of people who I wouldn't have asked for advice for in the first place. So I'm not going to let someone hurt me with their words when I never would have asked for advice from them in the first place, meaning I don't really value their opinion to start with. So why would I value their nasty words about me? So I hope that you're in a position where you can make sure that you're safe. School drama really is, I understand it can be all consuming because it's where you spend a lot of your time. It's just like work, for some of us, where it's where you spend the majority of your time. And I think that there is a certain level of, getting ahead of the rumors, being able to make fun of yourself so other people aren't going to get the power and the value that they are wanting from that, because it provides value to them. When you react, that's giving them what they want. I actually did an interview quite some time ago with Sean Kanan from Cobra Kai. I know him from The Bold and the Beautiful, but from Cobra Kai and Karate Kid, and he was talking about bullying and rumors and things like that. So David, if you could link that interview, I think that might be worth watching for you, maybe give you a little bit of insight on the situation. Bridesmaid fist fight. Scott says it's about perseverance, and if fears no one will care, step back and take a longer view. Sadly, yeah. Like I said, I was really bullied in school, and it was just kind of a matter of making the best of it until I could get out of it. So finding my tribe, finding my people, even if those people weren't the popular people, finding those people and holding on for dear life until I could get off that ride. And it really is true that none of those things will matter once you get out of school. But that doesn't mean it doesn't matter right now. That doesn't mean it doesn't hurt right now. But finding ways to persevere through that, finding support, finding community, be that in a club, be that in a couple of specific friends, be that in a certain class. If you're really good at English, it might be nice to connect with some people in the class, maybe to help them, and offer value to them, or talking to someone, be it the school counselor or someone outside of school, whatever the case is. It's really important to create a strong community during this time. Okay, so I want to move toward our wins. We're still at 23 in pledges. I'm going to try and get that up, but I'm going to do our wins. So in the community, on the community page before each stream, I always do a post so that people have the ability to share their mental health wins. And as I say, everyone always has a win. Always, always, always. And the purpose of this is just to kind of encourage you to look for them and watch for them. So since I started doing gratitude practices and stuff, thank you very much, Chad Gray, for that suggestion, by the way. It's really helped force me to kind of break that negativity bias a little bit, because it encourages me to look for the good. So this is just a way of looking for the good. It's inspired by Legally Blonde too. That's where the Snap Cup came from. And it comes with a song. So snap cup time, gather ye round, friends and foes together, united and bound. Pass it to your neighbor instead of blowing up, and you'll find harmony, love, and a snap cup. All right. So, David, if you want to share that Chad Gray video, feel free. Let's get into our wins here. Adam Coop says, I sat and watched trains go by, then got up and walked home. Oh, not today, one day at a time. At first I was, he's watching trains. But then I realized the context of that. I am so glad that you went home, that you were right there on the brink, that you saw that possibility, and that you were still able to find the strength to walk away from that, to go home, to see that this is going to pass, to see that you just need to get through the next day, or really even the next hour, the next minute. I'm so glad that you walked away from that and you saw that no, not today. Nope. It's not going to get you today. It's not going to get you tomorrow. And you can continue to hold on to that. So big snaps to you for walking away when I know that thought was crossing your mind. I knew you were having that intrusive thought and it was crossing your mind. So big snaps to you for being able to overcome that. Looks like got pledge over here. Aw, Tim, thank you so much. Tim just pledged 100, bringing us to 123. So we are just shy of halfway of the stream goals. Thank you so much, Tim, for bringing it up so much, for bringing up that that goal. Whew, you have me to where I almost can't talk. Thank you so much. I love you, love you, love you. And yes, I actually write this down on paper to keep track. Jeff Reynolds. Jeff Reynolds says, I made peanut butter oatmeal balls for my breakfast in the morning with chia seeds, honey, and a few chocolate chips. This is a huge step forward in helping break addictive behaviors while being unemployed. First and foremost, that sounds delicious. But big snaps to you for moving away from the addictive behaviors, for being able to find something to replace that with. I know that when you're unemployed or when you're struggling, that's the time addictive behaviors can kick in the most. That's the time it's easiest to give in because we feel bad about ourselves, or we might be questioning the future. So big snaps to you for being able to overcome that. That's one of the things, that's one of my 5 puzzle pieces of happiness in my happiness boost course is emotional eating the right way, because a lot of people are trained to emotional eat in a way that actually makes their mental health worse. And one of the things I teach is how to emotional eat in the right way. So this sounds like something right up my alley. This sounds like something I would teach. Actually, something I do teach in the course. I have a recipe in there for an oatmeal ball. So I love that, love that, love that. Big snaps for you. And chia seeds are huge. I love chia seeds. I put chia seeds in like everything. Whew. I should grab water. Entity says, when I get kicked out of my family home at 13, I took a bunch of photos of my family, so I would always have them with me. Every time I look at them, they bring nothing but pain. However, I keep them out of sheer grief and sorrow. To this day, I still have them hung up on my wall. Last week, I took one down. Today, I took down my second. Goes back to that one step at a time, that we can't always just throw out all those pictures or take down all those pictures. But one step in the right direction is forward movement. And taking down one picture is showing that you are wanting to move past that. And it's okay to take it slow. And it's okay to not be ready to completely make that jump at this time. It's okay to still have them there. Some people might say, no, you need to do that. But these kinds of processes happen in our own time. Okay. It took me years to be able to start coping with losing my mom and stuff, and having that grief process in a healthy way. So big kudos to you for taking down the first one and the second one. And when you're ready, you'll take down another one until you look and you say, hey, I have all this space on my wall. I have all the space in my heart. So big snaps to you. Dead Demon says, despite having bouts of depression this week, I was able to find a happy place. I think of Happy Gilmore. Yes, Happy Gilmore, where he goes to the happy place. That's the happy place I'm thinking of. If your happy place involves little people and beer and slot machines, kudos to you. But seriously, though, I'm glad that you found your happy place, especially despite those doubts or those bouts of depression. I know that can really almost put a wall between us and a happy place, but it's still very possible to start creating that, start building that image in our head. I have one too that I escape to when things get really difficult. So big snaps to you. I did see the second one, Autistic Warrior. My win is that Big Daddy 2 is coming out in 2026, and Big Daddy is in my top favorite movies. It was my favorite Adam Sandler movie. It was like prime Sandler. loved it so much. And I just learned yesterday that there's going to be a sequel. And you know what? I'm going to choose to have high hopes that it's going to be really good and that they're going to do the first one justice. I didn't think the second Happy Gilmore was terrible per se, just maybe a little bit forgettable. It wasn't as charming as the first one, but I have high hopes for Big Daddy. So I really hope that they are able to continue that storyline with the heart that the original one had. So yes, what the fork? What the fork, David? Wrong, good place. Okay. Aish, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but my mental health win is nothing special. It's simply that I am here. That is special to me. Every day is a battle for me. Over the last 3 years, my wife up and left me. I lost my home and my father passed away. I'm so sorry that you're going through all of those. Those are all in and of themselves very heavy. The only reason that I am still here is because of my dog. She is my everything, and she keeps me fighting every single day. Snaps to you for continuing to fight. I'm glad your dog's here. I was actually just reading back on a chapter I wrote in my book that I'm hoping to get published, where I was talking about living in the car with my mom and our 2 chihuahuas, Paris, who's, I guess you can't really see her, but Paris, and my mom's dog, Mirage. And I remember when I was homeless, I was at rock bottom. My mom's sitting there putting on her Mary Kay lipstick like the world isn't freaking falling apart, like the sky is not falling and we're not destitute and spiraling into homelessness. My mom's just sitting there putting on her Mary Kay lipstick, and I'm just thinking, how does she do this? How does she stay so so graceful and so beautiful and so classy all the time? And I'm just feeling like a hot freaking mess. And I remember my dog Paris coming over, and she just kind of made a donut on my lap. And that was my moment where I realized it doesn't matter to her if we are homeless. It doesn't matter to her if I'm at rock bottom. It doesn't matter. This was after my dad passed away. So my dad hadn't even been gone a year. We were homeless. Our family had abandoned us, and we were living in the car. So it was kind of a similar dynamic. But her just laying there reminded me that she saw me how I should see myself, that she didn't care where I lived. She didn't care who was surrounding us. All she cared about was that we loved each other and that she got fed. That's all she cared about. And that really helped put things into perspective. I always do like to say, though, to give the caveat that while our loved ones, including our little furry ones, should be reminders of a reason to stay, and they can give us strength to fight, you still deserve to be happy on your own. You still deserve to feel the other side of that pain, to find that happiness on the other side of the pain. And you shouldn't be holding on for someone else. You should be working to see the value in yourself and working to understand that you deserve the happiness and the healing. So while, yes, I do think it's great to have that reminder, you still deserve that all on your own. But big snaps to you. I think there was, by the way, I think there was a winner too that got posted after I had printed these earlier. So let me go real fast and pull that up so I don't forget to make sure to read that. Yep, there's an Autistic Warrior as well. And I thought I saw a comment from you that I thought was on the win post. So I do see that, and we'll get to that. Okay, so Ash says, I'm still here and fighting for every breath. Big snaps to you for still being here, Ash. I know things haven't been easy for you and that there's been a lot of challenges, but you still show up to every stream. You're still holding on. You're still fighting back, pushing back against all of the people that are trying to knock you down. And as my sign here says, and I really had to push this one home on myself this week, no li te bastardes comporum dorm. So don't let the bastards grind you down. That's the reminder I think a lot of us need today. No li te bastardes comporum dorm. Dave Gabb says, I got a 5-star rating at work. Yay, that's huge. I'm so happy for you. I know that this has brought you a lot of joy and fulfillment, and I'm so proud of you that you have been building that and working on that. So big snaps to you. Ash says, I still have that note you wrote that on. I just like to give that reminder sometimes because I know I need it a lot. I need to hear it a lot. Oh, Bryson says, I took Aaron's phone. Hi, Mom, and everyone else. Bryson's in the chat, so my 14-year-old is in the chat right now. He's saying snaps for David. David says, thanks, B. So any questions you have for Bryson, I'm sure he'd be happy to terribly embarrass me on stream right now. Make sure not to do it until they get pledges, son. I'm just kidding. Ghost Actual. So this used to be Warrior Poet, but it's now Ghost Actual. It says, talking with my son, I'm starting to learn more and more about my twin daughters. One of them is in choir as a musician. This makes me so proud and so happy to know that the torch is being passed on, the flame continues to burn. The other one plans on joining track and field soon, which was a field science experiment of mine in middle school prior to me finding out mid-track meet that I had shin splints. You can't begin to imagine how painful that was. My coach was a good guy, though, and helped me through it. But that was the end of that experiment. It's nice to get news like this after a week that tests your patience. Absolutely. I am at that point where I need all the good news I can get after the last week or so. So I totally get that feeling. That snaps to you for talking with your son. By the way, for those of you that don't know, the son was estranged for quite a few years and just kind of popped up on Father's Day and came back into his life when he was feeling very discouraged that there was going to be any resolution or reconnection there. So I like to remind people that you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So don't give up hope because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. But getting able to talk with him a year ago, you thought that was totally impossible. Getting able to connect with the twin daughters, hearing about all of their wins and all their accomplishments, that's really huge. And I'm glad to get to be part of that now. So big snaps. I love you too, Rora. And can't wait to snuggle you. Scott Clark says, well, I got some part-time work only when it snows, unfortunately, but still better than nothing. And I have an interview tomorrow, so we'll see, too, actually, and a doctor's appointment, so we will see where my numbers are. I donated blood this week and got a cool Metallica shirt from the Red Cross. Small wins are still wins. Hey, small wins build up, so big snaps to you for all of that. You're right. Something is better than nothing. I think that's a step in the right direction. Getting part-time work, it's better than not having any work. I wish you the best of luck on your interview. I don't know when this was posted, but hopefully, Scott, if you're still in here, you want to give us an update on that. If that interview has already happened, I'd love to hear the update. And I'm glad that you got a Metallica shirt. That's just a happy little perk. So those are actually some pretty big wins. So snaps to you. I'm having a hard time getting my hand in here right now. It keeps falling. How do we only have 9 minutes left? T. Montgomery says, I've secretly been meeting with a lawyer, so I don't want to give context to that unless you want to offer that here in chat. So I will just say snaps to you for that. I know the context of that, and I'm very proud of you. I'm very happy that you're moving in that direction, but I don't want to give any context for legal and private personal purposes if that would interfere with anything. So I'm just going to say big snaps to you for that. And I know how difficult that is. It's a big decision, but it's the right one. I know it's the right one. Zero West Dude says, I decided to study and have finished year 2 of 3 of my Bachelor of IT Network Engineering. Because it really helped me with depression to be doing something I enjoy, since my anxiety is through the roof with all the assessments and case studies. But I try to calm it down by chewing gum and locking in on them. That was actually one of my secrets too. So I got my bachelor's in forensic psychology in 2 years. And that really helped my anxiety too. Essential oil, peppermint essential oil is huge for me as well. To be able to utilize the senses to lock in. So yeah, basically anything that's going to help you be present and connect to the moment will really help with the anxiety. I also sometimes would have to just run my hands underwater before the classes or take a break to go do it during class. If there was an exam, if I was able to do that, to be able to ground myself. But big snaps to you for studying, finishing your degree, doing something that has helped. It really does help to give your shadow something to do. That was my thought process, is I'm going to give my shadow something to do. And it needed a playground. Forensics seemed to make sense. So here we are. And now I have a degree sitting over here. So big snaps to you though. That's huge. We have two more. Two more, and we're at 123 of our 250 goal. So Octanian YT says, want to debate for the first time in my life. No interruptions, no talking over, no insults, cool conversation on a serious topic, respect. Those are the best kinds of debates. I actually had a really great debate with somebody that I disagreed with not too long ago, and I try to stay very respectful when I'm debating over in the Abstract Atheist channel. But it feels so good when you can just have a respectful adult conversation with somebody where you can learn and hopefully they can learn a little bit. And even if you walk away feeling exactly the same, at least you've grown a little bit. At least you can see a different perspective. So I love that you are able to do that. It's a skill that I really feel more adults need to learn these days, or kids, but people just need to learn how to communicate and listen to each other and hold space for each other's opinions and viewpoints, even if they disagree with them. So big snaps to you for that. Oh, did Katie have a win? Going to make eggs on toast as the first food I cook myself after being diagnosed with epilepsy with help of new support worker. That's my win or wins because I haven't cooked since I was 18. Whoa, that's huge. Big snaps for you for finding the new social worker and for being able to cook the eggs on toast. That's huge. Big snaps. Okay, one more win. Resident Executioner says, today I bought a journal that says love yourself more on the front cover. I plan on using it while learning from your happiness boost course. Aw, big snaps to you. I hope that is a good reminder as you're going through the course. That's really one of the core messages, is being able to build your toolbox and kind of reframe the shadows pull on you, right? Like being able to look and, like as you were saying earlier, say, not today, I'm going to get through this, knowing which skill to turn to when, knowing how to build a solid foundation. So I think having the journal in conjunction with the course, I haven't heard of anybody doing that, shockingly. Most people print off the workbook and everything and do it like that. But I think having a journal actually suggests that. And I just don't think a lot of people have the physical journal anymore. They'll have like the online one. I think that is a great idea because it's a place to show your progress throughout the course and a place to show your notes, a place to see your growth in a very tangible way. So I think that is a really amazing thing to do with the course. David, would you mind linking the course here in case anybody's interested? But it really is the antidote for being stuck. That's how I explain it. It's the antidote for being stuck. It's the antidote for feeling like you're just trying to survive. It's the antidote for getting out of survival mode and finding happiness, even if it's the first time you've ever felt it, even if you've never been able to find that in your life. It's going to teach you to create that foundation, build your skill set, know which skill to reach to and when, know how to process the trauma and some of the things that might have been implanted in your mind. That's what the course is for. It's how I went from being in that really dark place to not being perfect, but being in a happy, fulfilling relationship in a life that looks more like mine, not in that darkness that felt like I was just going through the motions. So that is what the Happiness Boost course is for. And I think that that journal is going to be perfect because it aligns perfectly with the message of the course. Thank you, David. And we do have 2 more openings. We have 2 more openings for November, and then it'll restart on December 1st. Okay, so checking there. No more pledges there, but okay. Autistic Warrior had a win here that I didn't print out. It was posted after I printed all the wins, and I just happened to see it. So I want to make sure to read that. So we have a couple more minutes. Hopefully we will get a few more pledges and a few more wins here in the chat. Feel free to share your wins here. I'll try to read them before I take off. Like I said, if we start getting kind of a pledge thread, streak, there we go, something like that, then of course I will stay a few more minutes. But Autistic Warrior says, with the amount of euphemisms I'm using, I hope this still makes it onto the stream. After last stream, I was going through my emails and found out that I had gotten a conditional early acceptance to my top university. And a week ago today, I got the same for my second choice. It was on my way home the other day listening to a podcast when I overheard something on the radio that sounded familiar. It was Numb by Linkin Park. It really got me thinking. I've always been interested in starting a band as something to channel my emotions into something people can relate to, but I don't want to end up like Chester. A few years ago, I was really struggling in my math class, stressing me out to the point where I was having almost daily thoughts of unaliving, even having intrusive thoughts of doing something to my teacher. To put it lightly, I wasn't in a good place mentally. Prior to this point, I had only ever told a close friend. It's still a very sensitive topic for me. I've been wanting to talk to them about other issues, but they've been really busy lately. Some of those things include the fact that I've been engaging with corn to varying degrees for years, and this is where the euphemisms, I know there's been like unaliving and stuff, but replace the first letter of corn with a P. To varying degrees for years, and have been really self-conscious about my struggles finding a partner. The same friend was also the first person I asked out, and I think I genuinely had a crush on, so I'm fairly certain I'm not fully aromantic, but I might be on the spectrum. This is made more difficult with struggles with that other type of attraction for about half a year. I historically conflated the two and relied on the other to get me interested in someone before any romantic feelings could develop. I'm just feeling really confused. And whenever people ask if I'm looking for a partner, I don't know what to say beyond just no. There's a lot more I could say, but this is already really sensitive for me. First and foremost, thank you so much for sharing that. I can understand it's very sensitive. I can understand it's very personal. I can understand that there's a lot in there that might be very difficult to say out loud. That might be the first time that you are saying it out loud. So snaps to you for being able to share that and for the progress that you've been making. I want to remind you, when you're saying, I don't know what to say beyond just no, no is a complete sentence. You don't need to say anything else beyond just no. You can just tell people no when they ask if you're looking for a partner. You don't need to explain yourself to anyone. So I want to remind you of that. But I think that where you're saying, let's see, you're really confused in general. Like, I'm getting a lot of confusion. I think that that's the overall message here. I'm seeing that there's the wins in like wanting to start a band and hearing Numb and being able to feel inspired by that. And it sounds like maybe that was helping you a little bit through the intrusive thoughts, through the struggles and stuff. But it's okay to be confused and to need to work some of that out. It's okay to need to take a step back and to really analyze how things might look for you in an ideal world. And it's okay to not know, to not understand, to not have that figured out as of right now. That's completely okay. I think that I get it. It's really common where you need to figure out what's the next step. What do I want to do? I need to get everything together. But it's okay to not know and to not explain it to other people, to just say no, or I don't know. I don't know is also a complete sentence. So if I'm missing something here, please let me know. But I do think that it sounds like you're moving into a better place mentally. It was saying that you weren't in a good place. And even if you're confused, you're aware of these issues, and it sounds like you're taking action to work on them. And sometimes that's all we can do. And if you are needing resources for the corn or for the intrusive thoughts and stuff, I'd be happy to give those to you. Just let me know in an email or something, and I will make sure to get those over to you. So big snaps for that. David says, just once I want to see Amanda start a live stream with her back to the camera, do a slow turn to the camera with the Mr. Burns finger tap. Maybe that'll be my next one. Hello, people. Happy Thanksgiving, Ashkar. We love you. I hope that you are able to find some kind of connection, some kind of community. Should I do a Thanksgiving stream? Is there anybody that's kind of meeting the family and community on Thanksgiving? I could do a short little stream just so we can have some gratitude and stuff with each other, if that would be beneficial. I think I might need it too with all the family craziness going on. Do I have one win? No. I don't have another win in the cup. Keep putting snaps in the cup. In my cup. That was a song I did a while back on Patreon. Yeah, I was just saying I would love that. I don't have any supportive family. I might if I can make that work because I understand. David, this is the best tip I made. Yeah. And as I said earlier, if you are wanting to support the outreach of the community Patreon is the best way to do so. It's dipped, I hate to say, kind of embarrassingly low, and I haven't been able to do as much as Patreon's very low, and the streams haven't been doing as well as they used to, on top of the fact that I'm having to split streams between myself and the community at this time. Supporting the Patreon is a great way to support the mental health outreach, and you get priority song requests. I do exclusive reactions over there. I do Zoom calls where you get to hang out with me once a month and so much more. So if you are interested in supporting the community, check that out. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you so much. YouTube says, suggestion for you to watch if you want. It's about Hitler's blood that was found, and they do a DNA analysis. It's called Hitler's DNA Blueprint of a Dictator. Only 2:43 episode. Actually, that sounds incredibly interesting. So I think dinner's about ready. I'll give it 5 more minutes just to see if we get any last minute pledges or if anybody else has any last minute wins. And because, I just have a hard time letting go. I have a hard time stepping away and saying, okay. I feel like there's something else I'm supposed to be saying, and I'm not thinking clearly. I know I look tired and crazy, but I'm cozy in my little sweater. I've been happy. It's been rainy and cool here, so I've been able to wear sweaters and boots. I was showing you guys on the last stream. I happened to be in Utah, and I was showing you on the last stream that I was so happy to be able to wear a sweater and boots, and now I'm able to do that here at home. So that is the big one. Sure. Can you Instagram me that link though? Because I don't know that I can come back and click on it later here. Thanks, Ash. T Montgomery says Thanksgiving used to be huge, like 80 people last year. I just slept most days. See, I'm actually used to little intimate Thanksgivings. It used to be me and my parents, and Aaron and Bryson and I have always kept it kind of intimate. I've had a couple incidents where we have the big ones, but as someone with social anxiety, I mean, I don't have any family, and there's not really any other family that it would be a good idea to spend Thanksgiving with. So yeah, I kind of like the intimate feel. It keeps my social anxiety in check. It allows me to really just be grateful for the close connections and not feel pressure to talk to people I see once a year and whose names I've forgotten. So David says, I do love cardigan weather. Oh, now I imagine David in a little Mr. Rogers cardigan wandering around. And by the way, David's green little post there, if you become a member of the community, you get a free super chat or super sticker. I just realized that I didn't explain super chat and super sticker at the beginning. That's how you make pledges here. But you get one free sticker there per chat that allows you to highlight things. So I just realized, I didn't even give the whole spiel at the beginning of this. That's where my brain's at, guys. Then again, so as if the mixing up poisonous and venomous with the snakes wasn't bad enough on stream, and as if calling Paris a country wasn't bad enough, a couple weeks ago, Bryson asked me what the Second Amendment was, and I completely forgot because that's where my brain's been at, all right? Like, mom brain is a real thing, okay? It's a very real thing where you just forget your own name sometimes, which I've also done that. Also forgot my 14-year-old's birthday. So, yeah, I just, information just kind of leaks out my ears these days. So I apologize that I didn't give the typical spiel. Okay, they're saying it's midnight. Oh gosh. Yeah, don't do that. Don't drink soda late in the evening. I mean, I say don't drink soda at all, but if you're going to, I would say cap it at like 3 or 4. Yeah, they never feed me. I'm just starving over here. That's why I have to get pledges, guys, is so I can eat, because I'm just starving to death. I'm totally kidding. Totally kidding. That whole snap drama was really scary. I was beginning to wonder if I was gonna eat, but Yeah, that's what it really is here, is they're just starving me to death and I have to stream hungry, and if I don't meet the pledge, then I don't get to eat. Alrighty. Now I'm just sitting here making excuses and dawdling because I love you guys. But I'm going to go eat. No, I understood that autistic warrior when I mentioned Chester is because of what happened to him, and it caused me to reflect on that year in math. Yeah, I did understand that part. So I'm gonna go eat. If you guys want to make a pledge at a later time, the information on how to do so is in the description of these streams. I love you guys so much. If we are able to have a stream on Thanksgiving, I hope I'll see you guys there. If not, I hope you guys have an amazing Thanksgiving in whatever way that you celebrate. And if you don't, just take a few moments to reflect on some of your wins. Like I said, there's always a win, even if it's you got up this morning, even if it is you walked away from someone who was toxic, or you chose to go for a walk instead of self-harming. Whatever the case is, there's always a win. If there's not a win, create a win. So I love you guys. I will see you soon. I'm glad that I can make your day brighter, Katie. Oh, the t-shirts. Shh, we can't talk about t-shirts yet. The t-shirts aren't up yet, Erin. Stop trying to get ahead of the game. Coming soon. Sneak peek. But I love you guys, and I will see you soon. Mwah.